The Fourth and Goal Podcast.
That's all it is. But there's a lot of airspace to cover for Milroe. Still looking. Firing. Near corner. It's caught! Touchdown, Alabama!
Strebler dials it up. End zone! Touchdown!
They're going to snap it, and it's Trey Burton who throws caught. Foles! Touchdown!
There ain't no podcast like the Fourth and Goal Podcast. Like, hit that subscribe button and share. And welcome to the Fourth and Goal Podcast. How do you guys like that intro video? Let me know.
That's nice, man. It's nice.
I won't tell you who edited it, but it's one of us three. So take your guess in the comments. I'm here with Justin tonight on this Thursday. Well, actually, technically early Friday morning at the time of this recording. We'll have this video out for you guys. But first things first, let's get into this Chiefs Ravens game. Before I pull back up the ticker, make sure you follow us on our socials at TikTok, Instagram, and X. We're going to be pumping out clips, getting you content for you guys that don't want to listen to all of us talk for the whole hour, however long we go on for. But Justin, what did you think of this Chiefs and Ravens game? I know you were watching it pretty intently. What were your takeaways from the first game of the NFL season?
I mean, it was pretty much status quo. Spagnuolo, obviously, I think the Chiefs defense is very underrated. Chris Jones, obviously, in the middle there. They kind of shut Baltimore down, kept them at bay all night. One takeaway from the Ravens is Isaiah Likely getting snaps over Mark Andrews and making a lot of plays, because we know that the Ravens don't have a lot of receivers and have kind of refused to go out and get big-name receivers. Derrick Henry, I don't think he's going to be a big gain back. I think he's going to score a lot of touchdowns. I told my buddy that. And then just Mahomes is Mahomes. It's normal thing. You know what I mean? Rashee Rice made some plays. Kelsey was kind of in there when he needed to be. Pacheco, stalwart in the offense. They're just the defending champions and two of the classes of the NFL going at it tonight. It was good to watch, and football is back, baby. It is back. And the Chiefs' defense it's real, man.
The Ravens O-line kind of struggled tonight between holding penalties and then obviously letting Lamar get pressured and not able to get throws off. He ended up scrambling for a lot of yards, which kind of worked out in the Ravens' favor towards the end anyways. Lamar kind of just figured out, I'm just going to take this open field in front of me instead of trying to pass in a condensed pocket. The illegal formation penalties obviously are a big concern with this Ravens team. A lot of drives got killed because, it'd be 2nd and 15 now instead of 2nd and 10 or 2nd and 12 instead of 2nd and 7. It was a big problem for the Ravens. Defensively for the Chiefs, obviously the pass rush was pretty good. Other than covering Likely, I think they did a good job on a lot of receivers. Zay Flowers had to catch the ball a lot behind the lines of scrimmage. Wasn't really able to get anything intermediate to deep. The Chiefs were able to hit a couple gadget plays with Xavier Worthy tonight, which is something I wanted to see because Xavier Worthy is not going to be a 10 targets guy. That's not what he was drafted into the NFL for. He's not a sure hands receiver. You kind of have that with Rashee Rice, but Xavier Worthy is going to be a nice guy where you can run that end around play to him and he can break it off. He can run the little streak routes, the crossing routes. He's going to be a nice guy for that throughout the season. And obviously the Chiefs are going to be more creative as the season goes on and as teams adapt. I did not know Juju Smith-Schuster was back on the Chiefs, and I did not know that he was going to be playing tonight. He got one target tonight, and it was a tough.
He's kind of been on a tour for a while now.
Yeah. Leo Chenal and Justin Reed were really good in the middle for the Chiefs tonight, as well as stuffing the run lanes, and Derrick Henry and Justice Hill, when he would get carries, they weren't really able to get much tonight. The Ravens kept lining up in I form pro with two tight ends with Andrews and Likely a lot. I didn't, especially early in the game. I think
a lot of Ricard.
They need to go more. I think they need to go more pistol and work out the option, because I think if you can get enough guys committing to the outside, Derrick Henry's going to be able to take it up the middle for 8 yards instead of 3.
Well, like I was talking about with my buddy, though, I'm like, what is the Ravens' deal? Why will they not go get a premier receiver? I mean, they had Odell Beckham last year, don't get me wrong, and then they had Hollywood Brown, but they, for whatever reason, the philosophy, it's like a Harbaugh thing. They need a top-notch receiver, because you're talking about Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry in the middle, and then a premier receiver to stretch the field, along with Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely.
I think my thing is what premier receiver wants to share a room with Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, and then whatever receiving back they have there. I mean, that's 4 different targets.
Flowers is nice, but I'm talking about like a star receiver.
Yeah.
When's the last time that Baltimore's had a star receiver? And I can go back.
Steve Smith.
I can go back further than you, bro. They haven't had a star receiver in a long time, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, the only guy would be like Steve Smith from my memory.
And Steve Smith was Carolina.
He played for the Ravens at some point.
Maybe in the tail end of his career.
Yeah.
But I understand the philosophy and it's worked for them. You know what I mean? They've won some Super Bowls, but if you're trying to get Lamar to the next level, he needs a guy that's going to stretch the field, a big target. And Zay Flowers is nice.
But he's not like I mean, Zay Flowers is, they need a certified, like, it doesn't even have to be a star. It's just got to be even someone like a Keenan Allen, who's going to be a consistent weapon for you every single game. But you know what? I think that's also kind of what they rely on Rashad Bateman to be. And obviously he's been kind of injury prone throughout his whole career. He looked solid tonight, but he just wasn't able to create much separation versus the Chiefs secondary.
And he's kind of been coming out of Minnesota, dude. He was a stud at Minnesota. I kind of thought that he would be a premier 1 or 2 receiver in the NFL. And I know he's battled his injuries and whatnot, but I think he's kind of underperformed Rashad Bateman to me.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to what's going to be happening tomorrow night between the Packers and Eagles. This is another pretty good matchup from both sides. Obviously, the Packers, they refilled their running back room with Josh Jacobs. They got one of the most interesting receiving cores in the NFL with Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, John Tavion Wicks. You can't forget about Luke Musgrave or Tucker Kraft either in the tight end room. This team's going to be interesting. I'm wondering how it's going to look across the defense, because other than Jair Alexander, there's no really certified. I guess Rashawn Gary when he plays. But other than that, I mean, there's
Quay Walker.
Yeah, I mean, they have pieces, but how is this unit going to play collectively? Because I think that's been one of my concerns going into the Packers this offseason. And then the Eagles made a move recently for Jahan Dotson to be their slot guy, and I think that's going to be a really marquee move, because while he wasn't utilized in the Commander system that well, just because of the inconsistent quarterback play, he was a really good weapon at Penn State when he played, and he has the speed and route running. And his hands aren't like elite, but they're good, and he can create separation. And I think he's going to give slot corners in the NFL a tough time. So what are your thoughts going into this game, Justin?
Well, I think this is a pretty good matchup. You talk about the Packers defense. I think the Packers defense is pretty solid, if you ask me. Talk about a guy up front like Quay Walker, Wyatt, the kid from Georgia, who I think is going into his 2nd or 3rd year. Rashawn Gary kind of coming into his own off the edge. Jair Alexander, obviously premier corner. And then we move over to the offense. I think there's a lot of expectations for Jordan Love. I think that Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson stretching the defense. That's good. Jacobs is an upgrade if he can stay healthy. We know Aaron Jones had a problem with that. They still got Dillon in the backfield, the big bruiser, right?
Yeah.
Musgrove, I think, is an upcoming tight end. And you move over to Philadelphia, I think Sirianni has to get this team rolling. This is a make or break year for Sirianni. They broke the bank. They got Saquon Barkley. Like you said, they got Jahan Dotson, got A.J. Brown, top 5 receiver, Devontae Smith, one of the best 2 receivers in the NFL. Dallas Goedert, premier offensive line. They lost Jason Kelsey. Probably moved Cam Jurgens right over to the center position. And I like their defense. They brought C.J. Gardner-Johnson back. Brandon Graham, old school. They got some guys, man. And like I said, it's a make or break year, and this is going to be a good matchup. Just like tonight, it's not make or break for either team. It's just kind of 2 premier teams going at it. But I think Sirianni has more to lose. You know what I mean? He kind of has to get them to the Super Bowl, all the money they spent and all the things that they've done. Jalen Hurts, we got to see if he's an elite quarterback. And I'm really excited for this matchup.
Yeah, I think also for the Packers, can't believe I missed this. Luke Van Ness, I'm excited to see his year 2 development.
Iowa.
Yeah, Iowa. I'm interested to see the secondary. Javon Bullard, who's going to play safety for them. He was a stud at Georgia.
And they got the kid from A&M.
Yeah, what's his face? And Edrin Cooper, the linebacker.
Top middle linebacker in the draft.
I think the defensive players they drafted, and even though Oladipo, I think is his name, the Oregon State safety, I don't know if he's going to start, but I think he's going to be a guy. He was really good at Oregon State last year. He's going to be a guy that's going to be able to come in and be a backup secondary player. Man, it's tough to make a prediction about this game because I think in terms of firepower, you would go the Eagles, but a
lot of people are touting Jordan Love, man.
And Jordan Love had a great second half of the season. How much progression, or he doesn't have to make much progression, but he has to stay consistent throughout a whole season. And obviously you're going to have your like one down game, but I don't know. I think this middle of the defense for the Eagles is going to be really good. Obviously you have Jalen Carter and then Jordan Davis, if he can play more.
The Georgia too, defense.
Yeah, and you got Byron Young too from I'm thinking of the wrong guy. Never mind, scratch that. You got Nakobe Dean, the linebacker. You get Cooper DeJean to help fill out your secondary.
And then they got the kid from Toledo, the corner.
Quinyon Mitchell, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of pieces thrown in on these defenses that are rookies or starting for the first time. It's going to look interesting. But
they got Darius Slay too, veteran corner.
Yeah, I'm surprised he's still playing.
He's a good corner.
He is a good corner. So kind of what I'm reading from this matchup, the more I look in depth into the rosters, is these are 2 very good offensive teams that are throwing in defensive or making defense adjustments, whether it's through free agency or the draft. And it could really make a break on them making an NFC championship or Super Bowl, be a Super Bowl contender as well.
It's 2 teams really jockeying in their division. If you look at Green Bay in the NFC North, they're kind of jockeying with the Lions. Okay, are the Lions going to be the number 1 team in the North? Are the Green Bay Packers going to be the number 1 team in the North? And then you look at the NFC East. Is it going to be the Eagles or is it going to be the Cowboys? Right.
Right. Yep.
So yeah, it's going to tell us a lot. It's only week 1, but like I said, the Eagles have more to lose than anybody. Sirianni, they broke the bank for him. This is his last hoorah.
Right.
He has to make it to an NFC championship at the least, and they got to start out hot.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Eagles in this game. So
you got the Eagles. All
yep.
Right. I like that pick. I'm not going to disagree with you.
Yeah, man. I think I like the Eagle. I think I like their draft pieces just a little bit more in the secondary. I'm a big college football guy, as you guys are going to figure out throughout this whole entire season, how much unhealthy amount of I go back on Sunday and rewatch games that I didn't watch on Saturday. That's how much I love it. So I have the NFL games on my TV, but I got this laptop right here to really go through and skim through games I didn't get to that had either interesting moments or was way closer. Like I love Group of Five football. I love Power Four. I'm all for it, man. So, and I mean, Quinyon was a great, and granted, it was against MAC receivers, but Quinyon Mitchell was still a lockdown corner last year. And I think he's going to be a little bit more of a zone coverage guy and fits more into his zone scheme. But I still think he's got elite traits. He's a good athlete. He's going to fit in fine in that Eagles secondary.
Yeah, but I mean, what you've seen with corners and NFL personnel over the year, for that matter in general, is look at Trent McDuffie. You know what I mean? He's coming into his second year for Kansas City, you know, a guy out of Washington, probably not talked about the most. And then you look at
Sauce Gardner.
What's Sauce Gardner? I mean, obviously, you know, cream of the crop, right? And then there was another kid that's leaving. He's escaping my mind right now.
What team?
USA.
Tariq Woolen.
Tariq Woolen from Seattle. You know what I mean? They if you're good, they're gonna find you, and I feel like he's one of those guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you got a pick in this game, Justin?
Yeah, I like the Eagles. I'm going to go with the Eagles to start out strong. I think it's going to be a good game. Obviously, I think they're doing it in Brazil.
Yep.
I like the Eagles. I think like I said, they have the most to lose. They've added quite a bit, and they're one of my favorites in the NFC.
Yeah. All right, do we want to pick out certain games from the 1 o'clock slate, or do we want to go through it all?
Let's brush through them all.
Okay. All right. So let's do this a little bit more quickly, and then we'll get more into the primetime matchups like the Lions and Rams and the Jets and 49ers.
Yep.
But just get over it quickly. Bills and Cardinals. It's really, how does Kyler look? How do these new receivers fit in?
Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yep, Marquise Brown. You obviously have a returning weapon in Trey McBride. And then defensively, I don't know.
Yeah. You look at the Bills side. Look at the Bills side, though, too. They lost Diggs and they lost Gabe Davis in the offseason.
Right. Who's going to be the I think Ray Davis is a great addition at running back. He was really good at Kentucky.
Yeah. But James White.
Yep, James White.
Or James Cook, I'm sorry.
James Cook, yep, as well.
Yeah,
I think
you got Cam Coleman and you got Curtis Samuel that are replacing, and then, you know what I mean, Amir Shakur, and there's some guys on that Bills offense. And
plus you got Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid to fill out
good tight ends.
Good tight ends position. Defensively, you're looking to replace a little bit as well. There's not a lot of.
Still got Von Miller.
Yep, you still got Von Miller, but you lose Jordan Poyer. You don't have Tre'Davious White. There's just a lot of pieces.
Milano's back in the middle.
Yep. So it's both of a lot of young defenses and then offenses. Wow, there's actually a lot of good narratives in these games. The NFL did a really good job with their scheduling. Yeah. Basically just offensives trying to figure out their own identity after having some pieces leave.
Right.
And
is Kyler Murray the guy?
Yeah. Which I like Kyler Murray as a quarterback. I think when he's at his best, he's a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. It's just he doesn't play at that level all the time.
How good is Marvin Harrison, and McBride is one of the top 5 tight ends in the NFL.
Yeah. I think Marvin Harrison's going to be fine, dude. He's an all-level receiver. There's not really, in college, there wasn't really a flaw to his game other than when teams were just over game planning for him. But who's going to be that second weapon for the Cardinals to step up? You need other weapons because your best guy is going to get locked down.
James Conner proved that he can get into the end zone.
Yep.
You know what I mean? He's a great red zone running back. I mean, they paid Kyler a lot of money, and they're sticking with him. You know what I mean? They're showing him a lot of loyalty, and I'm interested to see what Kyler Murray can do.
And I'm glad because, you know, once a quarterback fails once, they're really not given a second opportunity within an organization. And I think that happens too much, and it's just a common toxicity in this NFL where a guy can't reprove himself, and just in sports in general. Yeah. And I think Kyler having a chance to kind of revamp this Cardinals team because he's not that old either. I mean, he's a young
kid.
Yeah. So,
Smith, he's the main the main guy when you talk about people revamping their career.
Right, exactly. And and I think also a lot of these quarterbacks, which we'll get into these matchups later, and I'll debrief about these teams that have quarterbacks that are drafted that aren't going to be playing. I think it's kind of the right move. But with that being said, I'm probably going to take the Bills in this game.
I got the Bills too. Yeah, I think I agree with you. Josh Allen, MVP candidate. He's going to carry that team on his shoulders.
Yep. All right, moving on. Bengals, Patriots. Is Jamar Chase going to play? I don't know.
Who cares?
Yeah.
You're talking about the Bengals and Patriots. You're talking
Right.
about sugar and shit.
Yeah. Can the Bengals secondary improve a little bit this year? You take Josh Newton from TCU to go get Dax Hill, DJ Turner, Cam Taylor-Britt. You got
That's a Michigan secondary, bro.
Jordan Battle. There's a lot of returning pieces that were rookies last year that are going to be second year guys and just fitting into that system. And obviously, offensively, yes, you lose Joe Mixon, but you got Zach Moss, you got Chase Brown to be backs for
Illinois.
you. And then on the Patriots side, I mean, they're starting Brissett week 1, so which I don't think. My thing with Drake May is I do believe he could play now, but honestly, there's no point in him of playing now.
Have they announced the starter yet?
I'm
Is
like
it Jarrett
9.
Stidham?
It's Jacoby Brissett.
Oh, Brissett.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's who they're going to go with because obviously you have Drake May and Joe Milton, which I don't expect Joe Milton to be on this roster next year.
I don't think you're going to carry 3 quarterbacks on your active roster, right?
No, that's their final 53.
They're both on there.
I think the Patriots are going to try and work out all these quarterbacks throughout the season, which is kind of dumb because your team's not really cut out enough to kind of figure it out. You do have some good receiver weapons, and Javon Baker out of UCF's a guy I really like. Jalen Polk, obviously, out of Washington. You got Tyquan Thornton out of Tennessee. Jaheim Bell is a pretty good tight end out of Florida State.
I feel like Tyquan Thornton, though, was a guy last year that we were waiting to come on.
Yeah.
He didn't really come on. Maybe this is kind of a make or break for Thornton.
And Keyshawn Butte, who had some
LSU kid.
Yep. So, I mean, defensively, obviously, you had. Oh wait, no, Judon's not on this team anymore, is he?
That's right. I think Judon's gone.
Yeah. So I don't think it really matters. I think the Bengals are going to win this game anyway.
They got Jabril Peppers.
Yeah. I think the Bengals are going to win this game.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Right? They don't even need Jamar Chase. They still got T. Higgins. They got guys. You know what I mean? Joe Burrow's back. They won 9 games.
Although Joe Burrow and the Bengals tend to struggle.
They won 9 games last year with Jake Browning as their starter.
And Jake Browning's not that bad of a. It's not that bad of a.
No, I'm not going to sit here and blaze Jake Browning. I'm just saying now you got the guy back, and you know what I mean. Joe Burrow. I mean, it's the Browns easily. I think the Patriots are one of the worst teams in the NFL. I think they're in a complete rebuild mode. They got to give Mayo some time to get this together.
And I think that's why they're not forcing May into a situation where he's going to fail. And I think
he's the quarterback of the future.
You're right. You don't need to throw in a guy that's going to be, expected to do so much with very little resources. It's kind of like, do this amazing project with limited resources. Like it's just nothing good's going to come out of it. Nothing productive. Yep. But yeah, Bengals over Patriots. Next game, Vikings going to the Giants. I know a lot of people talk crap about Daniel Jones. Let's see how it works out these first couple weeks. Because Daniel Jones has had moments in his career where, he doesn't look like an elite quarterback, but he looks serviceable and looks starting caliber. And I think you got Jalen Hyatt, you got Malik Neighbors. Those are 2 pretty solid deep threat targets. Malik Neighbors is pretty good at running routes. I don't think your running backs do you too much favors with Devin Singletary beating your lead guy.
No.
Oh my God, Bryce Ford Wheaton's on this roster, dude. He better start. Yeah. That kid was a stud at West Virginia.
I think I don't know, man. I think the Giants are poop.
But they have a good defensive front too. You got Kayvon Thibodeau, you got Dexter Lawrence, you got Brian
Yeah,
Burns.
I get that, man. But in the NFL, I mean, you got to score some points. And
Right.
I mean,
Eh,
we haven't really scratched the full surface with Daniel Jones either to
no.
completely judge what he is.
And how good of a roster has this might be the best roster Daniel Jones has had as a complete team.
I think Neighbors is going to be a stud, but
Yeah.
I'm not gonna tout him that as a rookie. I got to see it first.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, right. And I mean, on the flip side for the Vikings, you obviously JJ wasn't going to start probably anyways to start the season, but obviously he's out for the season now. You do have Sam Darnold.
Yep.
Be interesting to see what happens there. Aaron Jones and Ty Chandler in the backfield. Obviously, you know, they it's cool because I mean, you got obviously Jay Jettas and Jordan Addison. Those are established guys in the receiving room, but Jalen Naylor's looking to be their third guy, man. Michigan
Yeah.
State represent.
Yeah.
And then I mean, defensively, they're all right.
They're kind of a no-name defense, and
Yeah.
Flores really turned that defense around last year. And he was probably one of the assistants in the league in the NFL last year. So I'm excited to see what he can do in year 2 with that defense.
I mean, you get you do get Dallas Turner in the draft
with the defense. Yeah, you got Dallas Turner. I mean, which is a stud. And so to see what Flores can do with that defense, and then to see what they did last year with Nick Mullen and Dobbs. And I think Sam Darnold's a little bit more functionable than those two quarterbacks I just named.
I think also you're giving Darnold a root. Like what was his last stint? Carolina?
Yeah.
Because he went and backed up at San Francisco.
So you're giving him a little bit. You're giving him, you know, Hawkinson's banged up. We'll see when he comes, you know, when he can play. But you got Aaron Jones, you got Jettas, you got Addison. You know what I mean?
I mean, Sam Darnold really hasn't had too much to work with in his NFL career. When he was with the Jets, I mean, dude, they didn't have shit. So, yeah, I'm actually gonna take the Giants in this one. I kind of like them week 1. See what happens.
I'm going to go opposite. I'm going to go with the Vikings.
And you know what? Opposite opinions make good content. Titans and Bears for this next game. Bears obviously making big moves in the off seasons, while the Titans, they kind of sit back a little bit. They do sign Tony Pollard, but they don't go and make a big splash anywhere.
What about Calvin Ridley? What about Javarius Sneed?
Right, but I guess L'Jarius Sneed's probably a bigger name. But I'm saying like they don't have headline, which I guess there wasn't too much headlines names.
And Hopkins, they got, you know, you just think that those weapons complement Hopkins. What can he do this year? They didn't have much last year.
Yeah, I'm still not a Will Levis guy. I need to see it for a full season. I mean, I like this receiver room. You got Tyler Boyd. You got Calvin Ridley. Traylon Burks could still be a developmental project. He's only 24. DeAndre Hopkins. You got a guy I like, sleeper, Jaquan Jackson, which shout out to Tulane. I mean, defensively, you got Jeffrey Simmons. You get De'Vondre Sweat out of the draft. Just looking down this name.
I feel like Tennessee quietly made a lot of moves.
Yeah, they didn't make the flashy moves. I think they made moves for team fit, and this is more
added value, and they got their team got better.
Right. And I mean, you got Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears. Meanwhile, the Bears, they tried to make more of the sexy moves, trying to get the Caleb Williams, trying to get the Keenan Allens, the Roma Dunzes of the world. So I mean,
Swift.
Yeah, I mean, you just get the bigger name guys. I think this is going to be a good game week 1. Being completely honest, I think this is going to be two teams that if both of them get a win to start, man, who knows? Who knows what type of hot run they could go on or how.
I like the Bears in this game.
Yeah, I'm liking the Titans in this game the more I look at it on paper.
The Bears got a lot of firepower on offense, guys you named, but look at the defense. You got Tremaine Edmonds, and TJ Edwards in the middle there.
Right.
And then they added Sweat on the edge. I mean, and then they got a top corner, and you know what I mean, in the league. The Bears are kind of sneaking. They're kind of where the Lions were a couple of years ago, and I think the Bears are going to make a big jump.
Yeah, man. I'm going to go Titans in this one. I like their team a little bit better on paper now that I look at it very more in depth. So, once again, differences make great content. Panthers and Saints, dude. I don't even care to talk. I'm sorry. We'll talk about the Saints when they get Spencer Rattler starting, but I don't even feel like going through this game. Can Bryce Young look good in year 2? I don't know. They didn't really give him too much to work with roster-wise. I mean, you get Xavier Legette and Deontay Johnson.
Legette's a guy that I'm interested to see how he
But-
plays out.
Oh, and they have Jatavion Sanders to be a weapon at tight end, but he'll probably be more of a slot wing guy.
I think the Carolina Panthers are still one of the bottom 5 teams in the NFL.
Yeah. I don't think the Saints are much
When
better.
I look at the Saints, I kind of look over at that side of the ball, and then I see Chase Young, I see Brian Brzee.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Marshawn Lattimore,
Marshawn Lattimore,
Kool-Aid McKinstry,
Kool-Aid McKinstry,
Tyrann Mathieu,
Tyrann Mathieu, and
like I'm gonna take
Mario
the Saints.
Davis.
I'm gonna take the Saints in this game, but I just don't care at the end of the day. I
don't think Kamara's the guy that he was before. I don't think David Carr ever was that guy. I like Chris Olave.
Derek Carr, not David.
Derek Carr. I'm sorry, Derek Carr. I like Chris Olave. I think he's going to be a good receiver in the NFL. But yeah, I'm going to go with the Saints. I think David Tepper, a guy that runs the Carolina Panthers, has unrealistic expectations. I don't think he's ever going to find a coach. I don't think he's ever going to get a cohesive unit that can stick together and build. It's a mess in Carolina.
Yeah.
And I think Bryce he's in the worst spot he could be in.
He's got to get either moved or he's just going to not have a successful NFL career because of
they're going to shoot his career down. Yeah. That's what they're going to do.
We'll move on to the Falcons and Steelers. I said the Saints were winning in the last game for y'all that did not hear me. Obviously the Falcons go and get their quarterback and Kirk Cousins. And I'm interested in this team. But I don't know what their ceiling is, if I'm going to be completely honest. I still don't like, I like Drake London, but the receiving room as a whole, kind of on like what your wide receiver 2 is Darnell Mooney.
Yeah. And Kyle Pitts has been very underwhelming.
Right. To be fair, Kyle Pitts needs a quarterback that's going to be able, because Kyle Pitts has 4.4 speed, man. Like he can stretch the field.
Well, he was an alien coming out of college.
Yeah. And I mean, you got Bijan in the backfield. Jace McClellan should be a good secondary guy to fill along with him as well. And then, I mean, defensively,
kid, right?
Yeah. I mean, defensively, they're all right. They don't have it. Can AJ Terrell bounce back this year? That'll be a huge sign. You get Justin Simmons in free agency. How good can he be? That's a big question. I don't think their pass rush is necessarily amazing, but I don't think it's bad.
Well, the thing about the Falcons, though, real quick, is that the NFC South is up for grabs.
Right.
And we can make an argument that Kirk Cousins is automatically the best quarterback in that division.
Oh, for sure.
You can argue between him and Baker Mayfield.
I'd go off of last year. Kirk Cousins got hurt, yes, and Kirk Cousins.
But Dave Canales completely turned Baker Mayfield's career around,
right.
And now he's in Carolina. So
but I always thought,
what happened with that,
dude. Baker Mayfield in Cleveland at the tail end of his stint there, he's playing with a hurt shoulder the whole time.
But he was good. He was good.
Oh yeah, he was really good.
Led him to the playoffs.
I mean, he led the Browns to the playoffs too before he was hurt.
Yeah.
So I think people write off people too quick because they can't stick through the tough times. No one knows how to find grit and grind in the NFL, or really, and this is kind of a rant, and you might want to make an endpoint on this. Nobody wants to stick it out when it's tough anymore when it comes to football or any sports management. They want to look for the quick solution, the easy way out. No one wants to grind and get back to it and find their way back to success. They want to just, let's hire a new coach. Oh, it didn't work out. Let's just go get another one. Oh, this quarterback, he sucked after a year. Let's go get another one. No one wants to figure it out the hard way. And as GMs, I think you look more of an idiot of trying to move across to a different guy rather than just sticking it out with your core and letting them build and develop and build the rapport and build the chemistry and relationships. That was a little rant that I had, and that's something that kind of bothers me because most people that are successful in life and most teams that end up becoming successful, like look at Patrick Mahomes. He wasn't going to be the starting quarterback. He stuck it out. He wasn't looking to go to a different team. he got his shot, and you know what? He worked hard for it, man.
Alex Smith was actually the quarterback on a playoff team.
Right? Yeah, exactly. But people don't want to stick it out when it's tough, man. And obviously, at some point, you do have to move on, but I think people move on too quickly. Look at Jordan Love, man. He didn't complain. He wasn't looking for a different spot. He
Look
just
at college football.
Yeah, like. I mean, most of those most kids that transfer, they end up not being that good because they're impatient and they think that they can start when they can't. I mean, look at Florida State, for example. And that's a little off topic. We'll get back to this game.
Yeah.
But look at Florida State, for example. You get a big haul in the transfer portal with a bunch of guys that came to your team that were either starters at lower level schools or weren't starting at big time Power 4 schools. They come to your team and, man, you guys just don't mesh well together.
It shows it don't work.
Yeah. I think in the way Bama and Georgia and Ohio State supplement the roster with the portal, you just fill the holes with star players that you need or guys that you need a little bit more depth that you don't need to go get, 3 to 4 players at a position group to fill the void or build your roster in the transfer portal. It's just you needed to have most of those guys developed in a system.
I agree.
But back to this, okay.
You got completely off the rails there, huh?
No, but those are, just off the record before we get back to this, make sure you clip those and put those because those could definitely blow up. But anyways, back to this Steelers-Falcons game. On the Steelers side, it's interesting, man. It's really interesting in the quarterback room. Obviously, Russell Wilson's going to get the start. How much leeway is he going to have in the Steelers system? Wide receiver wise, you got George Pickens. I kind of like Roman Wilson there. I think he's going to be a good slot guy.
He's banged up.
Yeah. You still got Calvin Austin, who's a speedy guy.
Freiermuth.
Yeah. And then defensively, they just continue. Obviously, you have TJ Watt. Your defense.
Really
but
right.
Joey Porter Jr. is still a good corner. Minka Fitzpatrick at safety. Like, they still have good defensive pieces. I think defensively, their defense.
Hayward.
Yeah. Your defense is going to be able to keep you in this game. I'm going to go Steelers here, man. I kind of like them more than the Falcons looking at it.
Yeah, and I think a guy that you didn't even talk about was Jaylen Warren, running back, who's a good pass-catching option out of the backfield. Najee Harris has been a little underwhelming coming out of Bama. I thought that he was going to be one of the premier running backs in the league, and he kind of showed a little bit of promise, but he's kind of slowed down. Yeah. I think Jaylen Warren's going to take a lot of snaps from him. I think the biggest problem with the Steelers is going to be their quarterback situation. I think they're going to go with Russell Wilson, but I think by time's end, it's going to be Justin Fields. And let me tell you that Mike Tomlin hasn't had a losing season in the NFL in 17 years. So, but I like the Falcons in this game. I don't think this is going to be the game for the Steelers. I think they're going to have to figure it out. I think Fields eventually is going to have to take that job.
And I would agree with you there. I don't know, unless Russ can return to like what 90% he was at Seattle, which how much is in the cards, I don't know. I think Fields should take this job at some point.
I'm out on Russell Wilson, bro.
I want to see it. I honestly do want to see it before I say anything. But if I was gonna have to take a betting odd,
can't make it work with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockhart. What's he gonna do in Pittsburgh?
Another game in Florida. Dolphins, Jaguars. Wow. Off rip, I want to take the Dolphins. There's just so much offensive firepower there. And I don't really.
You go down the list, bro. You can go to A-Chain. You can go to Mostert.
Right.
4-3 running backs. You know what I mean? You got Waddle. You got Hill. Yeah, there's just so much explosiveness there. And in Jacksonville, they added Gabe Davis. They got Christian Kirk. Evan Ingram's a good tight end. Still working some things out on the defense. We'll see what Trayvon Walker is this year. Kind of a make or break year for him. I like Miami too. I think Trevor Lawrence was supposed to be the next coming of an NFL superstar quarterback. He kind of hasn't lived up to that yet. Interested to see what he does this year. I
Yeah.
got a little bit of confidence in him still. I think he's
He's
living
got
on
the
some
tools, man. I think Lawrence, he had a really good year 2, kind of regressed in year 3 a little bit, but it's kind of normal for some quarterbacks to have some slumps in their career and not have the year they had before. But it's not like he was like a bottom half quarterback in the league. I mean, it's still top half.
But he was just touted to be a generational
Right.
quarterback.
Like he was the greatest prospect compared to Andrew Luck, which
Right, like a Joe
he does.
Burrow.
Yeah. He deserves that praise too. But yeah, man, I'm gonna take the Dolphins in this game. I'm not gonna look too much past it.
Yeah, and Dolphins got the D line back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're healthy again. The Dolphins are going to do what the Dolphins are going to do. They're going to make a
Right.
strong run in the beginning of the year, and whether they stay healthy or not, if they do stay healthy, they'll be contenders in that division. If they don't, they'll struggle down the stretch like they did last year.
Yeah. Next game, Colts, Texans.
Sleeper game. This is a really good game.
This is a really good game.
AFC South.
I like Anthony Richardson. I like what in the limited time what he was able to show. Josh Downs is one of my favorite receivers overall in the NFL.
Yeah.
I like Adonai Mitchell a lot as one of their draft picks.
Pittman
obviously is going to be their probably number 1 guy. And I mean, defensively, you got DeForest Buckner. God, I can barely keep my eyes open. But I mean, like they don't have any studs other than DeForest Buckner on their defense, but like they got a lot of solid guys.
It was a good defense. That was a good defense last year.
It's a very well coached defense.
This is a premier game. A lot of eyes on the Texans right now. They signed Danielle Hunter to go with Will Anderson. Coming off the playoffs last year, they won
Stephon Diggs, and I mean
they got Tank Dell back. Diggs,
Nico Collins
on a contract. They got
Xavier Hutchinson is a guy that I really like as well.
Joe Mixon, underrated tight end, and Dalton Schultz. I mean, there's so much firepower out there in Houston. I think a lot of people are going to be watching to see what Houston can do, but I think the Colts are a sleeper in that division as well.
And I'm going to take the Colts to win.
You got the Colts to win. I'm going to go with Houston in this one. I think Houston's going to win. I think Stroud is setting himself up for an MVP type year. Just going to say that. I mean, he has all the weapons on the outside. He's got a starting left tackle who's one of the premier in the league. He's got D'Amico Ryans, who was a defensive guy. They're loaded up on the defensive side. Houston made a quick turnaround, and I like Houston.
Yeah. Chargers, Raiders, not going to say much. Two teams.
Shitty game.
Yeah. I'll take the Chargers. Want to see Jim Harbaugh win his first game in the NFL. And I don't know what to think of the Raiders, man. I mean, there's just.
I mean, they're going with Aiden O'Connell, they're going with Gardner. Is it Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell?
It's one of the two. I don't think.
So I think they're going with Gardner Minshew.
I don't think it really matters.
I'm just sitting here. I'm wondering what the hell the Raiders are doing as an organization. I've been wondering that for a lot of years.
Yeah.
And the Chargers, I mean, Justin Herbert. They took away his weapons. Mike Williams is gone. You know what I mean? Keenan Allen gone. They got Palmer still. They drafted Ladd McConkey. I think they're going to run the ball a lot more. They signed Gus Edwards. They signed J.K. Dobbins. But it's, for me, and, they got Khalil Mack, and they got Bosa, and they got some guys on the defense.
Derwin James.
You know what I mean? Asante Samuel Jr., there's some guys over there, but I don't think they're ready to compete in that division yet. This game's kind of crappy. I think that, and then you look at a guy like Matt. We didn't even mention Matt Crosby for the Raiders, probably the best player in the game.
Yeah,
X factor. I like the Chargers in this game.
Yeah, I was going to say the Chargers. Another game that I'm not interested in, although I do kind of want to see how Bo Nix does in his first start in his career. And not that I think he's going to do good. Broncos, Seahawks. I mean, I got the Seahawks, and I'm not even going to think twice about it.
Seahawks. Okay. Yeah, I'm interested to see what Bo Nix does. I mean, Cortland Sutton, you got Williams coming back fresh off that knee injury. You know what I mean? He was really good. I think he was on his way to be a good back before he got hurt.
It's on my fantasy team, so hey, if you want
Yeah.
to perform good, that would be a plus.
They still got Surtain on defense. They got some guys over there on the defensive side. I don't know. I don't know what Bo Nix is. You know what I mean? I don't know what he's going to be. A lot of people think they're going to be a good offense. I think he's a dink and dunk quarterback in my opinion. And who are they playing?
Seahawks.
Mike McDonald, first year. They still got Tyler Lockett. They still got DK.
K9.
They got K9. They
Zach
got Charbonnet
Charbonnet,
backfield. They got some guys. They got some guys on defense. Yeah, I'm going to go Seahawks. I don't want to get too far into that one.
Yeah. This game should be pretty good. Browns, Cowboys. Cowboys always a really good regular season team, no matter what. Cowboys, what will Deshaun Watson be? I don't know. Will Jameis Winston get some snaps? That would be pretty cool. But I mean, I kind of like this. I like this Browns roster. Judy, Cooper. I like Jamari Thrash, Cedric Tillman, David Njoku. Like, these are all really solid weapons on the outside. Let's see how Ford and Foreman can do in the backfield until Chubb comes back. And I mean, defensively, this might be one of the best defensive teams. Zadarius Smith, Myles Garrett, you got Greg Newsome, you got Denzel Ward, you got Osu Koromora. Like, these are household names in the NFL.
Yeah.
And I'm liking the Browns off rip, man. I know the Cowboys are a really good regular season team. Obviously, they have the superstars and Michael Parsons and the Trayvon Diggs and the CD Lambs of the world. But I think complete roster-wise, I don't know.
I think it's a contrast in styles. You look at it. I think there's a little bit of like everybody's so high on Michael Parsons. He's a good player. Don't get me wrong, really good player, but superstar in my opinion yet? No, I don't think he's earned that. I think you look at a team like Dallas, who's got a very good offense, and you look at a team like Cleveland, who's got a very good defense. And this is like you said, the NFL doing a great job with week one matchups. I'm ready to see what Dallas's offense can do against Cleveland's defense. And if Cleveland can get 70% back of the Deshaun Watson before he left, they're going to be a tough out, man. Especially you talk about getting Chubb back later in the year, coming off that knee injury. Ford has already proved to be a pretty good backup when he plays. Mari Cooper, one of the most underrated receivers in the league. I think Judy, if Deshaun Watson can get going, can be a guy that can really step it up there in Cleveland. I think he was in a bad position there in Denver. I'm going to go with Dallas in this game, but I'm very interested to see what Cleveland's going to be.
Yeah, I like Cleveland as a team more. Honestly, I think they play more team oriented, especially defensively. So that's kind of why I'm going them.
Okay.
Bucks and Commanders. Jay Daniels' first game. He's gonna have Terry McLaughlin. Terry McLaughlin. Wow, Terry McLaurin, Luke McCaffrey, as some weapons for him. Zach Ertz,
Brian Robinson.
Yeah, Ben Sinnott is a good tight end from Kansas State. A little underrated. It's gonna be more of a blocking tight end. Defensively, they have Javonte Jean-Baptiste, good defensive end from Notre Dame. Dante Fowler Jr. You get Bobby Wagner at the very tail end of his career. How will Emmanuel Forbes look like? Mikey Sanders still could be a
Austin
very good
Eckler.
Austin Eckler in the backfield. They have pieces on this team, man. It's just not complete, right?
No,
it's not complete. One of the worst defenses last year. And then the Bucks, I mean, they make a surprising playoff run. And I mean, you got Baker Mayfield, obviously. You had Bucky Irving in your backfield as well to pair with Rashad White. You got Chris Godwin. You got Trey Palmer. You got Mike. Is Mike Evans hurt?
No, Mike Evans is still in there. You got Godwin. You got Palmer. Cade Otton, who's
Yeah.
Rashad White, probably one of the top 10 running backs.
A receiver I really like that might break out for the Buccaneers too. Really good college guy, Jalen McMillan from Washington. I think he's going to be a guy who might not jump out right out the gates of being a star receiver, but we're in a dynasty league in my fantasy league, and he's trying to trade me Jalen McMillan, a first-round pick for a Jigba. I'm like, bro, you're a rebuilding team, dude. Just keep McMillan because he could be a stud in a year or two, man. Do it all.
And Jigba can be a guy that can really.
Yeah, but I'm not trading a Jigba, bro.
Yeah,
not for a guy that can be good when the Jigba's starting to really prove himself. I mean, I think defensively the Bucs are all right too. Obviously, you have Antoine Winfield Jr. back at the safety position. Levante David, who's a little bit older.
Yep.
Vita Vea in the middle. I mean, this is a solid defense, man. Yeah,
Carlton Davis to the Lions.
Yeah, I like the Bucs in this matchup. To be honest.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Bucs as well. I think Baker Mayfield. I like him turning his career around. They're gonna keep it rolling. I like the Bucs.
Yeah, hopefully I don't lose power because it is starting to come down at my house. The primetime matchup on NBC Sunday night, we got the LA Rams taking on the Lions. I know me and Justin are going to be very excited for this game and excited to bring you content. And we'll probably be recording at the tail end of this game Sunday night, so we'll be able to give you a little bit of reaction to it. We're going to do so before we finish this up and get a little bit into some college stuff. What we were going to do is Sunday night, we do our college football reactions. And if there's any crazy big stuff in the NFL, like a crazy game or a big headline that happened, obviously we'll give our opinions on it. And then Tuesdays, we'll do NFL reactions, probably some college football predictions. And then Thursday, we'll do some NFL. I think that's going to be how the schedule goes throughout the season. And obviously anything breaking or some big rule change happens or there's another counter stallion scandal going on. Obviously, we'll get to that. But, yeah, man, the Rams, obviously, you got Matthew Stafford coming back. They got a really good running back room, man. Kyron Williams, Cody Schrader, Blake Corum. I mean, those are three backs they're going to be able to play for you. You get Cooper Kupp back to pair him with Puka Nacua. They have a tight end, man. Really, no one of my interest. I mean, Tutu Atwell had his moments last year. Jordan Whittington, a guy from Texas, he could be slotted in there as well. Defensively, you lose a big piece in Aaron Donald to retirement. But you get Jared Verse on the D line. You get Tre'Davious White, Braden Fisk, a very good D tackle at Florida State last year. I mean, they got some good pieces on this team, right? And then you got the Lions, man. Lions didn't have to do much in free agency. They tried to fill out their secondary between free agency and the draft. You got Jared Goff returning, which I'm going to make a crazy hot take. Jared Goff might not be as good as he was last year. He's not that talented of a QB, guys. I think teams are going to be able to figure him out a little bit easier. Personal opinion. You got Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery in the backfield. You might get some Son by Key in there as well, which he actually played safety at Utah, and they put him at running back when Jaquindon Jackson went down. So now he's in the league as a running back. Amon-Ra St. Brown, obviously, the big name guy at wide receiver 1, Jamison Williams at 2. Khalif, I don't know. Do you believe this J-Mo hype, Justin? Be honest.
Yeah, I'm kind of. I mean, we all know what Amon-Ra is, but I'm kind of big on the J-Mo. I'm kind of big on the J-Mo stuff right now. I think he's going to take a leap. If you look back at that NFC Championship game last year against the 49ers, he was the best player in that game. I think he's matured. He's got some time to grow now. And the thing is, though, there's so many mouths to feed on that Lions offense. You got him, you got Amon-Ra St. Brown, you got Laporta. You know what I mean? You got Gibbs, you got Montgomery. I mean, this is going to be this offense is going to be a juggernaut, man. And the Rams have more questions than the Lions got.
You want to know my problem with J-Mo?
Go ahead.
how good of a route runner can he get? Because he's not really been a guy to run crisp routes in his career. He not in college, not in the NFL. He's been a deep threat and a gadget guy off jet sweeps and end arounds. If he can develop if he can be more of a middle threat, and be a consistent target, which not that you need him to be, but just have him as a safety valve on some plays on a third down when Amon-Ra is going to be the main focus of attention. I think that's something I want to see from JMO. But when people expect him to break out, I don't know what they mean. Do they mean he's going to get like 1,000 yards? Or I don't know what it means.
I don't even think that's feasible because I think there's just so many guys to feed on this offense that
like people act like I don't know. I just
and Khalif Raymond is even a serviceable 3. We've seen
right.
him.
And I think Isaiah Williams can break into this rotation at wide receiver too, man. He was
pretty good.
He was good at Illinois, man.
They've continued to prove that they're going to take the best guys on their roster. I mean, they signed multiple undrafted free agents this year. And then, like you said, Isaiah Williams, he may be that guy. You know what I mean? And then
he was a dual threat guy at Illinois, man. He could play
the defense, man. Like
Hutchinson, DJ Reader, Makai Wingo is a guy that was a game wrecker at LSU, man.
But you look at the DJ Reader, Lee McNeil. I mean, Mark Davenport. I mean,
Anzalone.
You got Jack Campbell in the second year. Anzalone's been rock solid. I mean,
I think Terrion Arnold was the best corner.
Terrion Arnold. You got Rakestraw. You got Carlton Davis. You got the kid from the Raiders. His name.
Amik Robertson.
I mean,
Melifanu is my favorite player on the Lions.
Who probably stepped up more than anybody last year.
He's my favorite player on the Lions.
Brian Branch,
man,
who's going to play more of a traditional safety role this year. I mean, they're going to be damn good. I mean, Kaminsky, when he makes it back, he's a solid rotational guy on the defensive line. A lot of hype for Levi Onwuzurike. You know what I mean? Who was a second round pick out of Washington a few years ago. You know what I mean? So they got all the Lions, and not even just being a Detroit guy and being partial to my home team, but man, they got all the makings of a Super Bowl contender, in my opinion.
Yeah, man. I got to go for the hometown team. Me and Justin are both Detroiters. I go Detroit Lions, baby.
Yeah, that's Lions for me too.
And then this Monday night game, 49ers, Jets. This should be a really good game, man. I'm excited. Obviously, 49ers coming up short in the Super Bowl last year, but you retain a lot of the same pieces. Really didn't have to change too much. And then on the Jets side, I mean, you get Aaron Rodgers back, man. I mean,
Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, Garrett Wilson, man.
Bryce
Mike Williams.
One of the best running backs in the NFL.
Mike Williams in the offseason. I think Malachi Corley could be a guy that could break out for him.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, they're one of the best defenses in football.
Secondary-wise.
I mean, even up front, you got Hassan Reddick.
Well, there's kind of been a little bit of drama with Reddick there.
Quinnen Williams at D tackle.
Quinnen Williams is a guy you can't deny.
Yeah. Like they have a lot of pieces. Obviously, their secondary is the most probably sexy unit on this team. That being said, man, I don't care. I'm going 49ers.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm interested to see Brock Purdy can, he kind of had a subpar preseason. Is he ready to turn it around? He proved that he could in the big moments last year, minus the Super Bowl. McCaffrey, obviously, a guy. They signed Ayuk. They got him back. They just closed the deal with Trent Williams, one of the best tackles probably in this generation. You got Debo, Kittle. I mean, they got all the guys. I think, I like the 49ers in this one. I'm really interested to see what Rodgers is. He blew his heel out, and he was out for the season last year. And then the year before, we seen him fail to leave Green Bay to the playoffs. So I'm going to go with the 49ers as well.
All right. that wraps up our NFL segment. We're going to quickly go through some college games. And like I said, I think we're going to do our college predictions on Tuesday after reacting to stuff in the NFL, because we're probably not going to react to every single NFL game if it was kind of a sleeper or we just didn't get enough eyes on it. So kind of how we're going to do with college football. Texas, Michigan's the first game I wanted to get into. We'll roll through these quick. There's only a few matchups this week anyways. How do you feel about the Longhorns after looking really impressive against Colorado State? And then talk to me about your concerns with Michigan and then what you kind of expect in this matchup.
I like Texas. Quinn Ewers. If Quinn was ever to go down, obviously Arch Manning looked pretty good in that game. They added Isaiah Bond. They've been recruiting really well. Sark kind of turning them into an SEC powerhouse kind of like program. Their defense, they lost Sweat. They lost some guys up front last year. I'll be interested to see how their defense has improved. I don't think Colorado State is really the litmus test to see how they did, but we'll see what Michigan's offensive line can do against them. I'm really concerned about Michigan on the offensive side, breaking in a new offensive line. I think it's an offensive line that can be pretty good. I think it's an offensive line that's going to have to progress as the season goes on. They didn't look very stout against Fresno State, and I think this is a quick turnaround, and it's a lot to do in 1 week. And then the quarterback play. You're breaking in a new quarterback. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, he's a one-read quarterback," and this and that, and there's a lot of merit to that. Watching the game, they need to find weapons outside of Colston Loveland. I think Samaj Morgan's going to have to play into being a bigger factor. I think Kendrick Bell is going to have to play into being a bigger factor. Fred Moore.
Look at this Michigan homer guy. Wow. He just knows the whole roster like it's the back of his hand.
Yeah. And it's just a lot to do. I think Khalil Mullings probably looked more like their number one back. I think Donovan Edwards is the guy that can hit a big play for you here and there, but never showed consistency over the course of his career at Michigan. And I'm really concerned about this game. But then again, at the same time, how proven is Texas? They were good last year, but, Texas has kind of shit the bed for a long time. And I'm interested to see how proven they are. I don't think Quinn Ewers really lit the world on fire last year. So, he's going up against Will Johnson. He's going up against a good second, Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant, Derek Moore, good defensive end. Josiah Stewart had a great game last week. Houseman, Jay Sean Barnum. There's some Michigan's got a certified defense, and defense alone isn't going to win you the game. But I think Quinn Ewers has got to show it to me.
Let me say this. So my main concerns with Texas going into this game, and I'll elaborate a little bit more because I think I don't have to talk anything about Michigan. You kind of just said everything that I wanted to say. So my concern about Texas is I think offensively they're going to be fine. Their offensive line's experienced enough. They got enough guys with starts. I don't think that's really going to be a problem. I think they're one of probably the 6 teams that can, make Michigan look a little bit vulnerable at the defensive line. When I mean vulnerable, they could actually, not get just blown up every single play all the time. I'm concerned about the rushing game for Texas. You lose CJ Baxter. Jaden Blue's going to be an all right guy, but you don't have that running back too. And last week they went with the guy. It was a blowout, but they went with the guy named Jarek Gibson, who's just a freshman. How sustainable is that? I don't know. I think receiving room, I think they're fine. Jonte Cook's supposed to be their Xavier Worthy replacement. You got Silas Bolden, you got Matthew Golden, we got Isaiah Bond, Ryan Wingo, and then you got Gunnar Helm at the tight end slot. Defensively, man, I really liked how this team looked in the secondary against Colorado State. Colorado State's got Fowler Nicolosi and Torrey Horton, who were pretty important pieces for those Colorado State in their passing game last year, and then it's kind of shut down. Makuba, a transfer from Clemson, obviously one of those guys to look at, but they were just good across the board everywhere. defensively in that Colorado game. Anthony Hill is a big time linebacker for them. That's a guy that can come off the edge as well. And you get Trey Moore from UTSA, who's another edge guy that's going to be impressive. I think they could develop some pass rush. If Michigan can run the ball up the middle and consistently, if they can average 4 to 5 yards per carry in this game, with their rushing attack, getting some powers, ISOs, counters, dives, like these are some looks that they're really going to have to get. They got to kind of play that traditional Michigan football against Texas and just block their linebackers and their D tackles out of the way, because you don't want Trey Moore, you don't want Anthony Hill being an explosive play guy, and I think their corners are going to keep these Michigan receivers in check. So with that being said, I really like Texas to win this game. I don't have a score prediction, but I will say, what's this over under at 42.5?
Yeah,
I would take the under still, man.
It was at 44.
I don't expect Michigan to score over 20 points, and maybe not even 14. I'm going to be honest here, man. I don't think Michigan's they have so many questions on offense, and you were not able to really produce that much against Fresno State. Like, I get Fresno State offensively, like they were all right last year. You got Malik Sherrod, you got Mikey Keene, you got an experienced team on the offensive side, but like that Fresno State defense really ain't that much, man. You were only able to put up 23 points offensively. I know they scored 30, but that Will Johnson pick 6 at the end. You were only scored 23 against Fresno State. That's kind of a problem, man. So I think Texas, but it's at the big house, right? Big noon kickoff, big time game. You never know who's going to show up and show out for Michigan either. They could have a guy step up.
You never know.
It is also kind of prime for Donovan Edwards to have like 250 rushing.
I mean, he's done his best work in the biggest games they've played. You know what I mean?
I like Texas the most in this game, man, but I wouldn't be surprised. A quick game I wanted to hit a little bit that I'm interested in that we didn't mention at the beginning: Iowa State, the Cyhawk. I'm kind of excited. I really like how Iowa looked last week offensively in the second half. Yeah, man. So I had my multi-view up, right? Oh my gosh. I've never seen an Iowa offense look so beautiful. I mean,
explosive.
Obviously, yeah, and I mean defensively, they're
dude. I got to go back to Russell and like Brad Banks, like back in like the early 2000s,
right? Like way before my time.
Yeah,
but I mean, like Iowa State, they look solid in their opener versus North Dakota. They look defensively pretty well. I think Rocco Becht, as the season goes on, he's going to be able to develop as their QB and be a pretty solid guy. They have a really good sophomore running back as well, who broke out to the tail end of Abu Sama. That guy's really good. I think he's got a little bit of injury concern, but I mean, this Iowa State defense, man, it's solid. Yeah, I mean, this game probably not going to be too high scoring. Over under at 35.5.
Wow.
So,
I mean, you might want to start investing in those Iowa overs after last week, you know?
It got close.
They scored, 30-something in the second half?
Yeah, I mean,
35?
I think Iowa State's a lot better of a defense than, who are they playing? Southern Illinois? But
yeah,
it might be worth to look at. I think Rocco Becht can also get it going for Iowa State. I like Iowa in this game, man. I think the Hawkeyes are a sleeper team in the Big Ten.
I think Iowa's legit too. I mean, obviously, I'm going to go with Iowa. Cade McNamara kind of, you know, we kind of wondered what another.
He's healthy, but the thing is, when he got to Iowa, he was hurt. He was,
but another bad. You were like, oh, here we go, another bad year for Cade in the first half. Second half, they just opened that thing up, man.
And that's what that was the whole point of bringing Tim Lester along,
right?
But will it look different with Ferentz there because he was suspended for that first game?
No, I think it'll all be the same. They kind of found a little bit of an identity last week, and there's a little bit more game plan for it. There was a lot more explosive plays than I've seen from Iowa in the last 3 years combined in one half.
And then 2 more games to get into, and then we'll wrap this up. NC State versus Tennessee. Nico looked spectacular in their opener. Granted, against Chattanooga, that's kind of what it's supposed to look like.
Right.
But on the flip side, NC State plays Western Carolina, and it's like, why is this game close?
Right, yeah.
Grayson McCall didn't look amazing in their first game. He did all right. He still threw 3 touchdowns and a pick. You got Waters, I want to say he's the Duke transfer. Yeah, Jordan Waters. Yep. Duke transfer. He was a pretty solid running back, one at Duke last year. I think they have a little bit of problems at the receivers. Obviously, you have Kevin Concepcion, but man, who's going to be that type of guy that's going to step up for you? Is it going to be a Noah Rogers? I don't know. They don't have much depth at the outside positions.
Where's this game at? Rocky Top?
It's the Duke Mayo. I think that this game's in North Carolina. It's Duke Mayo's Classic. So I'll give you the game site location.
No, but
it's in Charlotte. So
I think we were both a little taken back, and we talked about this last week with how close the NC State score was.
It's where the Panthers play, Bank of America. So
with NC State being ranked in the top 25, I think we expect a little bit more out of them in week 1. Like you said, Nico, I mean, they got Brew McCoy, they got some veteran receivers, some good guys, offensive playmakers. They got Pierce on defense, who's obviously a top 5 projected pick.
I think he's I'll be honest.
I think that
a little overrated.
Tennessee's stockpiled a lot of talent, and I think that Heupel's done more with less at quarterback. I think Nico's the best quarterback by far in his tenure, and I think that Tennessee is poised for a big year. I don't think this game's going to be close. I think they're going to roll over NC State.
What will Dave Doran do in week 2, man? I don't think it's over for NC State. I think you have to figure it out, right? And I think getting Tennessee in your week 2 matchup is kind of difficult to deal with. But I mean, how will Nico do in because this is going to probably be a North Carolina home game, right? I mean, right. Tennessee fans will travel. Knoxville's not that far from Charlotte, but Raleigh's closer, obviously. How will we do against a team that's pretty solid defensively? I'm not going to say they're amazing, but they're above average. I don't know how much it's really on how much pressure can NC State's offense put on Tennessee's defense, because is that Tennessee defense complete or not? That's been a question that has been answered on the wrong side for Tennessee, man. They've had not so good secondaries and not complete defensive pieces. So it'll be interesting to see. I think they do, but we'll have to wait and see. And obviously the biggest game of the week, Colorado versus Nebraska. Dylan Raiola looks amazing in week 1.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that? Tony White's building a solid defense, the defensive coordinator for Nebraska. Really good defense last year. It looks like they're going to be pretty good again this year. What can Colorado do, especially because they can't block, to try and compete with Nebraska, man? Because I think Nebraska could put up points against this Colorado defense. I don't think this Colorado defense is necessarily amazing. And who's going to show out for this Nebraska team, right?
I think I'm so glad you brought this game up, because Nebraska is big and stout on the defensive line.
Oh my God, I didn't realize.
Like you said, defense is
Isaiah. Okay, before you, just one thing. Isaiah Nair, Wyoming to Texas, and now he's at Nebraska. And he would have played at Texas in that loaded receiver room if he didn't have a season-ending injury 2 years ago. Just continue talking.
Yeah. So. Like you said, Nebraska, I think Matt Rule's going to have Nebraska as one of the top 4 or 5 teams in the Big Ten before it's all said and done, year in and year out. Colorado still hasn't shown an ability to block anybody on the offensive line. I think Nebraska's going to get after Shedeur Sanders. I think they're going to chase him all over the place. I think Travis Hunter and Shedeur are probably 2 of the top 10 players in all of college football, but just them alone isn't going to do it. And I think Raiola is going to be able to get down on Colorado's defense. I don't think Colorado has shown any ability to improve that defense, not yet. And I like Nebraska in this game.
Yeah, I don't know. because Colorado can pull off that fluky dookie magic sometimes, man. They did it really early in the season last year. I don't know. I think I still have to go Nebraska here. I think defensively they're just really complete, and they kind of use the transfer portal at receiver position to really give Raiola some targets to start out with. And obviously, when it's year 2 Raiola, and obviously they can get those recruits that they recruited in with Raiola and get future recruits that can maybe play as freshmen, some transfer portal guys that are like, shoot, I don't want to play with some Jag quarterback at X school. I want to go play with Dylan Raiola. And Nebraska's NIL collective's not bad, man. I just saw the Nebraska volleyball team on a Dick's commercial with Candace Parker and Patrick Mahomes, man. Like, dude,
Right.
it's a big time operation down there. I mean, Lincoln's just like, I mean, there's nothing else to do in Nebraska other than the College World Series and in the spring, summer, whatever. But yeah, I like Nebraska here.
I agree with it. I think,
but it's going to be an entertaining game to watch. I'm kind of sad that this weekend sucks. I want to take
better games you got to come, man. It's not a very big weekend.
Yeah. I mean, I want to watch Michigan State, Maryland, but that's not a big enough game to talk about. And week 3, Arizona, Kansas State play. I'm just going to bring up some games really quick that I want to get your thoughts on. Arizona, Kansas State, Alabama, Wisconsin. LSU, South Carolina could be solid. Missouri, Boston College could be a game. Okay, it's starting to run dry here. I'm interested in
Arizona and Kansas State. I mean, I want to see what McMillan and Fafita can do in their Big 12 debut after McMillan had that historic.
I don't think it counts as a Big 12 game though this year. There's some, that Wake Forest NC North Carolina bowl crap that didn't count as a conference game. I think it's the same situation applies there. Georgia and Kentucky can be good in a couple of weeks for sure. Well, I mean, the next week kind of sucks too. That'll be interesting to talk about. But it's hour 16. Justin, any final thoughts before we conclude this?
No, I mean, it was good. It was good today to get back into some NFL football and, get the season really feels right. And it really feels like it's rolling once that first NFL week 1 comes around. I'm excited here to see what the Lions do. There's a lot of hype here in the Motor City. We got Michigan and Texas coming up. Me and Noah got our own games that we're working this week with the high school ranks. Everything's good in the world, man, and it just feels right when football's back. The air is a little bit more crisp. It's a little bit cooler. It's big guy season for me, and I love it, and I'm happy to be back.
Yeah. I mean, golf season still open, man, so I couldn't ask for anything about that more. I love football season. Football is one of the things I'm most passionate about, whether I was playing or now that I'm working and talking about it throughout the fall. Then it becomes basketball season, man. Basketball season is one of the best seasons to work. But now it's the end. Make sure you follow the socials on the bottom. And as it says in the top right, make sure you like and subscribe. And stay tuned for our episode on Sunday. We'll have Andrew join us back. He is currently wrapped up at work. And what a loser. Who works these days? It's 2024. Right. You got to collect unemployment. But no, thank you guys for watching. And stay tuned to the socials and you'll see some awesome clips. And you never know where this can go, man. Never know where this can go.